Okay, this video doesn't really pertain to anything on my page, but for those who know me personally and those who are getting to know me, I am a music engineer slash producer engineer first, of course. I'm predominantly do mix engineering, but I do tons of recording. But I would say since this pandemic, been getting a bunch of phone calls with people and friends and people who need help with doing their sessions at home, predominantly dub plates, because the majority of the music that I do is reggae. I've done work a host of artists, new, old, you know, the works. Work with some great artists, great people, and a lot of time they reach out to me because they need a little help. But just recently, I would say probably the past 6 weeks, I've got an influx of calls of people who needed help because they're trying to do their own setup at home. And to be quite honest, I like it. I like the idea. I think that the artist should know how the tools work. I think the artist knowing how the tools work will and eventually help them become a better artist. It's like with anything else. You have tools, and the better you know how to use said tool, the better the project comes out at the end. So this video, like I said, doesn't really pertain to what my page is about, but I'm never planned to make a full music page. But after seeing this video, if you like it, and you can send it to a friend, and if it can help them, like it, share it, whatever, you know how that goes. Leave information, leave a comment. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like this, and and go for more in depth, and do things of that nature. No problem. Like, I would make a whole new page and do a dedicated music page. All right. Now, with that being said, a lot of the phone calls and messages I've been getting, and the questions, is predominantly people who wanted to do dub plates, like reggae artists who want to do dub plates. They want to do it at home. They're not going to other people's studio, or for whatever reason. So I'm going to show you how to set up and record your own dub session. It's very simple, but I could say it's simple because I've done it for a long time. But once you know the tool and know what you're doing, and you try it, so I'm going to go as slow as possible, and so you can see, and then you can always pause and do whatever you have to do to make it work for you. First thing, one of the key things when you're doing these sessions, or you're getting into music and you're using this tool, is to be organized. Organize is the biggest thing that's going to help you. If you have things all over your screen, folders here, folders there, you're going to be all over the place. You're going to throw yourself off, especially learning a new tool, a new software. So we're working with Pro Tools. I'm on a Mac. The difference between the Mac and the PC is just literally shortcuts on the keyboard, like where they are. But for the software, it's all the same. I'm not going to use too many keyboard shortcuts so it doesn't get confusing. I'm going to try to keep it as straight as possible, just so you can get into the session, get it recorded, and get it out. That's it. All right. So let's start first. First things first. You want to get yourself a SSD hard drive, like one of these. They're probably like $40-50 on Amazon. They're great. This is the company that makes this one that I have, Western Digital. I've always used them, never had a problem with them. They're great, but you want an SSD. They work faster. They're a lot more reliable than the older drives. And you cannot work off of one of those little flash drives. I don't have one in front of me to show you, but those little flash drive things, that's not going to work. You want an SSD drive, with, the motor inside running. It's powered by the computer, but at the rate of speed it works, it's excellent. So, okay, you have your hard drive, and now you want to start up a session. You got your rhythms. So I'm already assuming that all your rhythms and the people, and like I said, this is dedicated for people with dub plates. So the verbiage that I'm going to be using is people who are doing dub plates, who are in the reggae community, and they would immediately understand what I'm talking about. So the dub plates is, of course, the instrumentals of the music. All right. So I'm assuming that you have all your rhythms in a folder. Within that folder, you would have your folder in your SS drive. This drive right here is what you're looking at right here. Right? So let's go into that. Click open. Now I set something up already just for the sake of this video. I just came in, the idea just popped in my head to do this, so I preset it up like 5 minutes before I started this recording. As you can see, like, my studio is a wreck, the lighting is off, but I'm just doing this, and like I said, this is not really part of what my page is about, but I'm just doing this and for you guys. Okay, so I have here a folder that says rhythms. Inside my rhythms folder is my music, right? So you might have one, you might have a ton of rhythms. I'm just doing one so it doesn't get confusing. Okay, so now we know we have our hard drive here, and we have inside the hard drive, we have a folder and a folder with our music. Fine. Let's go down to the bottom of the screen. Now on a PC, this, like I said, I'm on a Mac. This is called a dock. When you hear people talking about the dock is down here at the bottom of the screen where all your major applications are. On a PC, your apps would be somewhere around this area or wherever on your screen, left side, right side, doesn't matter. But PC, your apps and stuff are on the screen. On a Mac, they're down here. Either way, what we're looking for is this one, Pro Tools. The icon is going to be the same on both on Mac and PC. So we click on that, open, give it a second or two. It needs time to load up. Don't worry about what you're seeing up here with iLock. That's just my computer. That's just my... Okay. Pro Tools is open. This is the screen you would see. You would say create, recent, and projects. Okay. Recent would be any session that you've had before, so that it'll pull that up. But we're starting a whole new session. Here is the whatever the title is going to be. So let's just, for video purposes for this, we're just going to call it Dubplate 1. Oh, I wrote dup. No duppies here. Right. Next is your settings. So wave is what you want to go to. You're going to have AIFF and wave. You can leave it as wave. If you want me to do more videos on settings and the difference between wave and AIF and a lot of these different things, I'll do that. But for the time being, we'll just leave what comes up. You want the bit depth at 24-bit. You can leave it there. Now sample rate. Depending on the kind of box you have, whether it be a Sapphire, M box, whatever, would be the difference between these numbers that you see here. This is the sample rate. Now, I personally work at 48 to 88, but that's because I have a higher end box that allows me to do so, and that's where I like to work at. If you have like a Sapphire or something like that, and you're only doing like Dubplate sessions, this isn't no big recording, you could easily leave it at 44.1. Nothing would happen. Leave it there. You starting out would not see or hear the difference, right? But for me, I'm leaving at 48 because that's already my setting. The IO is last use. I'm sure by now you've turned on Pro Tools like 2-3 times or 300 times, whatever it is, so you can leave it. Okay. Now we hit create. Pro Tools session is up, and what we're looking for is, one second here. Let me just do this. Okay. Pro Tools session is open. So whatever little mishaps or whatever you'll see, they're all in real time because, like I said, I'm just putting this together for you. When you open Pro Tools for the first time, unless you change something in the settings, which you don't have to, you're going to open with a click track. A click track is basically just a tempo track. It's just a click or a knock or whatever the sound may be. That's a count off. So you know how you're in your session or you hear the band and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and depending on your timing of your song, so forth and so forth, would change the speed and the tempo of what you're hearing. Right? Now, for video purpose, we really don't need this right now. So go where it says click, right in the space, right click, scroll down, delete. It would be the same on PC and Mac. Now to flip the screen, we have on Mac we call it Apple, but it's the command side plus and equal. We'll flip the screen. So hold command, Apple and equal. It will bring you to the mix window, and then we can flip back. Right? So now we have an empty session and we want to load up our rhythm and get the session started. We will go to File, Import, Audio. Let's show you again. It's File, Import, Audio. You click on that. A box is going to come up and it's going to say from where. Mine computer, I went to this already, so it's automatically going to go, but you would have your choice of your different the drives on your computer. So you look for your drive. So that was the drive that you've seen on the screen. Click on the drive, and then you look for your folder that said rhythms or wherever you have your music. Remember, on mine it just says rhythms. Click one time, open. Here we have Diwali rhythm. I love the Diwali rhythm. And click one time. You'll see this convert will turn blue. Click on that. Oh, before that, once you click on it, let's just say you have the rhythms and for whatever reason they're not named properly, or you're not sure which one, or you're trying to go through and see which rhythm would fit whatever song you're about to do, you can easily just click on it one time till it's highlighted, and down here is a little play stop button that you can pre-hear what's happening, like what song it is. You get me? Now you won't be able to hear it that great on yours, but I mean on mine. But let me see if I can play it. And so if I press play, right? Okay. So we highlighted, we know that's the rhythm we want to choose. Go to convert, click on convert. It's now added in this box. Apply SRC, that's fine. These right here, sample rate 4100. That's just the sample rate that is being converted to. You can leave that. Mine says 4800. It's fine. All right. Tweak head, slowest, but low, faster. You can leave it at where it is. You don't have to worry about that. Click open. There we go. Highlighted. Then hit open. It's gonna say audio files. The audio files is all the music in that session will be saved in the audio files folder. Later on, when we get further down the line, I'll show you what this folder means for your session. Just continue, hit open. All right. Now it's going to say new track and session start, meaning that you want the music to be on its own new track and you want it to start at the beginning of your session. So you click OK. And now, boom, it's added. The Wally rhythm is there. Your music is in there. Quickest way to make sure, you can always hit the space bar. The space bar is your play and stop button. Kind of like if you remember what a tape deck was, you can press play. The space bar is your play and stop button. So let's press thing, hear what's going on. Great. Good to go. So now we have our music in. Now you need your track for your vocals. Track. Go to the top here now. You go to track, new, and now here you have create. So what you're going to do is you're creating one track, mono, meaning one mic. Mono, single source. Your music track will be left and right because it plays in two speakers, so it's going to be the left and right. So that's a stereo track. You want to create a mono track because you're only working with one mic. So you want one mono track, one audio track. Samples, that doesn't concern you. You can name your track from here. So let's just say vocal. All right. So one audio mono track is what you have here. We're good to go. Hit create. You gotta bear with me too. I left my glasses at home, and so it's taking me like an extra second to focus. You see right here, I can make this a little bit wider so you can see, and I'll do the same with the audio so you can see. All right, so now we have our music track and we have our audio track. Right now, remember, we're going to go back to that screen I was telling you about, where you use the command and the plus and equal sign. All right, so command plus and equal. Now, what you're seeing is the fader portion of the software where the music and the audio, the vocal track that you just laid in, that we just put there, this is just the fader side of the software. So as you can see, if I was to press play, right, that's our music track. This here is our vocal track. Now I'm talking, but you're not hearing anything because we haven't set it up yet. So on your Sapphire box, on your M box, whatever box you're using, for your Pro Tools or whatever it is. Well, it's going to be Pro Tools because this is what it's about. Your mic. You're going to see usually in the front you have an option for either mic 1 or mic 2, or it might just say in 1 and in 2. On mine, it's a little bit different. I have mine on 3, but that doesn't matter. Wherever your mic line goes in, and you might even have 4 or 5, whatever, but wherever your mic line goes in, that is going to be your in. So on mine, I'm choosing 3, but on yours, it's going to be whatever number you were looking at. So on mine, I'm going to interface 3, right? Still talking, don't hear anything because we need to input monitor. So that means I need to hear what's coming in, and that's what this little I button is. Track input monitor. We click on that, and all of a sudden, here I go. Now you hear me great. My vocal is coming in, right? Now here's the key part. You want to set your vocal, from here. Now you play with your volume knob and see how loud or low you want it. Preferably, what you would want to do, you cannot change your mic volume with your fader. All that does is, after the process is done, then it affects what you're hearing. But during recording, you have to use your box. So I'll show you what I mean. I can't show you the box because it's off screen. But preferably, you want your vocal to be right around down here when you're recording. Because what it is as you're talking, you're screaming. There's a whole digital thing that I can get into, but it's not necessary. But the simplest form is as you're singing and the music is playing, now you've given yourself room, because if you go too high, you see that little red button? It's called clipping. That sounds horrible. I hope I didn't bust your eardrum. But that sounds horrible, and then you can't do anything with it, and it sounds horrible for the client when you're giving it to them. There's a bunch of digital jargon that I can give you, but it's not needed. For right now, you want your vocal up and around this area, and I'll show you how to achieve that. Audio check 1. Now you see, even when I go loud, I'm not really passing, but I want to stay in my range right around where this is. And as you can see, even if I bring the fader back up to 0 where it was, my vocal is still in this area, and that's what you want to see. That's where you want to be. Now, for video recording purposes, I'm going to turn the mic back up so you can hear me. Right. Okay. So now what we want to do is, we have our vocal track. Go back to the screen. Up at the top here, you have your record button, record enable, and you have your play button. What you want to do is right click on the record button. Right. So if yours is going to look like this, just a red button, it's going to say normal. That's how it's originally going to come. So with this, if I take off the loop, it should look like this, right? What you want to do is change it. So you right click on the record and change it to quick punch. You don't even have to worry about the loop on this. That's something for my personal settings. But you want to change this to quick punch, and I'm going to explain why in a second. Right, 1 second, bear with me. Like I said, I don't want to get into shortcuts, but I just want to cut this out so that it starts immediately. All right. So we have our vocal track. It's there. We can see our music track is there. Now we're ready to record. Now, with every dubplate, everybody knows you have an intro. The great thing is, your session will come up and it might look like like one of these might be highlighted at any time. What you want to do is go right here to the edge and click on the top so that they're all highlighted, because what happens is it makes life a lot easier as you move through the different parts of the software. That cursor ends up turning into something, a different kind of tool to help you do a different thing, and you don't have to keep going back and forth. And this is the same on PC and Mac. Like I said, I'm not going to go through too many keyboard shortcuts because it's going to be different, but this is definitely the same on PC and Mac. All right, we want to get into the middle of the music file where it turns to a hand, left click, and slide it down. Give yourself some room. Now, if you see these numbers up here, you can see that they're set at seconds, right? So just slide down. Okay. Now, on your keyboard, you should have a keypad, like a calculator pad to the side. That right there is your quick record button. So now we have the input monitoring. We're good. We're set up. But you need to enable the record. So we're going to click record on the fader. It's going to look the same on the other screen. So you can click it from here. Either way, your input monitoring is going to go off once you've enabled record up here and on the actual track. When it's not on, you're not going to hear anything. But when you put input monitoring on, when you press record, it'll come on, right? So now it's time and you're ready to do your intro. You on the keypad side of the keyboard, you're going to press the number 3. That's going to automatically start recording your session and you're good to go. So that's why we called it Quick Punch. This is going to help you out a lot, especially as an artist working by yourself, and you don't have to be running around with the mouse trying to hit record and all that. It's just a quick shortcut. So boom, we hit the number 3. And now we're loading doing our intro, whether it be whoever, Stone Love, Oddies, whatever, good to go. Right? Intro is there. Want to hear it back? We can always play it back, hit the space bar. Let's hear what was happening. Do we hear ourselves? And now we're loading doing our intro, whether it be whoever, Stone Love, Oddies. Right. So now we're like, okay. Now remember, we were able to move this whenever we wanted to, right? So the great thing is, let's just say our intro was shorter than where we put the music. We can always bring it back. So we're like, okay, I like the intro to start right here. So, and y'all know, if you're the artist, you know what it is. It's intro, and then you want the rhythm to drop. Boom. So you put it back right where you want it. Or if your intro was longer and you needed more space, you can always just move it out the way. It's not going to change anything. And then you could just drag it back to the spot to where you want the music to start. So just for video purposes, I'm going to drag it back here, right? We'll listen back. Loading doing our intro, whether it be whoever, Stone Love, Oddies, whatever, good to go. Right. So now, session's recorded, intro thing. By this time you've done your song. Now you can keep. I know most dubs, nobody does anything over 2 minutes. Usually like a minute and change. Now remember, I told you this cursor changing came in handy. So remember, it was the palm, and then you can see the line. If you take it to the edge of the file, it turns into something that looks like a little bracket, like a staple. We left click, hold it down, and we can drag it until where we feel like your dub session ended. So you're like, okay, yeah, I gave him enough bars, that's it. And then boom. So you have the intro, all of this is your dub session, and then you feel like it should end around there. You can just move it to right there, and you're done. Right? So now we have our vocal, we have our rhythm, we have our vocal, the session's done. Now you have to send it off to whoever, to the client. The session's done, file, always, here's another thing. Always go up here, every time you make a move and you do something, you want to go to file and save. On the Mac, it's the same command sign and an S. I believe on PC it's command also an S, so always, or if you're not sure what the shortcut is on yours, just go to it, file, save. Like every 3-4 moves, you move this here, you move this here, you move this here, you move whatever you did, just go back and file, save. It'll save your life, because for whatever reason, we're still dealing with computers, and for whatever the reason may be, let's just say your computer crash or the software crash, you don't want to lose all the work you just did. Pro Tools does save the session in increments for you, but it's timed by the software. You want to be able to have your own saves in between that time that Pro Tools not doing it for you. So let's just say Pro Tools is doing it every 10 minutes. Every couple of moves you're doing it. So, you have a bunch of incremented saves in between those saves from Pro Tools. Okay, great. So we save the file. The file is ready to go out. We go here. Export. I'm sorry. What am I saying? First thing you do, let me small up the screen real quick, just so you can see. So let's just say, for whatever purpose, the session ended here, and now we're ready to send it off. What you want to do is, I'm only for video purpose, I'm just making it short so I don't just have a long file, but your session, might have, the music and the recording might be all the way down here. I'm just doing a short one for video purposes, so don't pay any mind to this part. All right. So wherever your session ended, you want to change this cursor to this line here when it turns into looking like a capital I. And you want to left click and scroll from back to front. Highlighted, right? Wherever this ends is where the music is going to end for this next part. So this is where my dub ended. I left click, highlight, I go to file, and I go to bounce mix. Click on bounce mix. As you can see, the bounce mix already has the name of our session, which was Dubplate 1. The file type. Now you can send it in WAV, you can send it in AIF, you can send it in MP3. You have all these different options. Majority of the time, if you send it off to a sound or something, they might just say send it MP3. A WAV file is a little bit bigger, so if you had to email it, depending on the size or how much you did, the WAV file, sometimes it's hard to send via email. MP3 is more compressed, and it's easier to send. If you were doing a record, I wouldn't advise you to do MP3 because you're compressing the sound. It's not the same. And if you would send it off to a studio to do a record, you would want to send it AIFF. But we're not there. We're just talking about Dubplate Session and just sending off via email. Yo, the rhythm is done. Cash at me my bread. You know how it go, right? The output is stereo 1 and 2. The file format, you want to leave it stereo interleave. Now you have multiple mono. That's another option. Again, if it's a dub session, sometimes the sound might say, yo, I want it split. So I want, left side, right side, music on one side, the rhythm on one side, and the vocals on the other. So you can send it stereo into, multiple mono, and it will send two different sides. It will split it. But if they don't really care about that, because a lot of times they end up hitting you back anyway, and they say they want a tie. So when they want a tie, this is what the stereo interleave is. The sample rate is going to be at 48. We know that because that's what mine is set, and we said that in the beginning. And session, when it's finished bouncing just means save. So it's saving the session and then bouncing it to the folder where we set up from anyway. One thing I want to jump back to, and I just realized that I skipped, which is crucial. I was telling you about the in and outs. So on your box, you have out 1 and 2. So you're going to have your ins where your mic input will go in, and your outs where your speakers come out of. So you might have out 1 and 2 or out 3 and 4 or whatever. You might have it all the way down to 8 or 16, whatever it is. But for whatever you're using, you're going to do out 1 and 2 majority of the time. Your input, like I said, is your mic inputs. So this is, even though it's like our microphone, even though it's a mono track, it's a single track, it still comes out of the two speakers, out of left side, right side, right? So you always want to make sure that your outs are always the same, right? Okay, back to what we were talking about. So now we have the file highlighted, ready to bounce. We go to File, Bounce Mix, Dubplate 1. We send the MP3. We went through all of this already. Now we choose. Now it gives you a choice where you want to put the bounce file. To me, staying organized, because you never know. You might have you can change the folder where this last part goes. Like, oh, let me just put it to my desktop. But let's just say for whatever reason, that sound hits you back and it's like, oh, can you add this name? Or, can you do over the intro? Or they didn't like how the sounded, period, and they want the whole thing done. Now you have to look for that file or whatever. Or they might want you to send it back. Now you have it in two different places. You have your folder in another place and the saved bounce file in another place. It's going to drive you crazy. So, like I said, the biggest part is staying organized. The more organized you are, the easier it is to maneuver around all of this. Because starting out, it's a lot of windows. It's a lot of things that your eyes look at. It dances around, and it can get overwhelming if you don't have like somebody solid to help you get through. All right, so leave session folder, leave that bounce files. Click on bounce file. On bounce, you're going to get this other thing. You can just leave everything as is. That's fine. And hit OK. Some of you may not get this extra window. Does not mean anything at all. It's just the way my thing is set up. So you might not get this extra window. It might just start. So once it starts, we have 22 seconds of a dub session. It's going to play in real time. So as it's bouncing, whatever, good to go. Right. So once it's done, it's finished bouncing, you're going to see it disappear. We're finished with the session. We can easily close this session, and we will. All right. Everything looks good. We're done. I'm finished with this session. Go to Pro Tools, Quit Pro Tools. Scroll down, Quit Pro Tools. Save. Don't save. Hit save. It's closed. We're good to go. Now, that same drive that you were using, we're going to open that back up. in that drive, now we're going to look for the session we had, and here it is, Dubplate 1. That's the session we just did. Double click on that. The audio files, those are all the files that you added. So we see Diwali, and you see the one vocal. If you had more than one vocal, or you had more than one rhythm in there, whatever is in that session audio wise is going to be in this audio folder. This is where you're going to find it. Now, the bounce file is the last and final version of what we just did. So you click in there, and this is the final of what we just recorded. This is it. That's what you're sending off. This file right here, this is the send off file. So you would copy this to your desktop, or however you want to do it. I don't know if some of you still use Dropbox, however you send it, or email, but you will copy it. Don't just pull it out of your folder, put it on your desktop to email it, and you just copy it to your desktop, so you always have one in there. Copy it to the desktop, then you can delete the desktop one off of your desktop, so you still have the original, just in case anything happens down the line. All right, this right here is your Pro Tools file. This is the session that we just did. If we click on this, that session that we just did is going to open back up. Session file is, remember I was telling you about the backup. So every time Pro Tools saves for you in increments of maybe every 5 to 10 minutes, however it's set up in Pro Tools, this is where, so if you had messed up and you're like, oh, I need to get back to that, you can go into this folder. That's why it's good that you do your own saves in between those minutes, so that you have a bunch, because I'll show you why. If we go to list, right, put it in list mode, you see it's showing me all my saves and backups, but it also gives me the times. You get it? So if I wanted to go back, if I messed up something, I'm like, damn, I was working on it probably like 10 minutes ago, then I can go and look at the time, like, okay, I want to go back to that particular time that it was messed up. If we click back on this, like I said, this is the session file. This wave cache, that's just a memory thing. That has nothing to do with you. Don't worry about it. You can leave it there. You can delete it. It's not going to change anything. I just leave them. No big deal. Dubplate, double click. If we had to come back, say they said they wanted the intro, you want to go fix something up, you double click on it. It's going to open back Pro Tools. I have a lot of things running in the background, so that's why you're seeing my wheels spinning, and it feels like it's taking a long time because I left things open. I should have cleared them off, but oh well, you can't change it now. We're already here. Give it a second. Session open back up, and however you close the session is the way you're going to see the session open back up. As you can see, everything is there the way we left it. Right? Now, one thing I didn't add is, like, how to do the reverbs and stuff like that. If you want me to show you how to add reverb and stuff to your vocals and all that, if you want a more deeper dive, hit me in the comment. Like I said, if you have other artists or friends who are doing the same or having the issue, and you find that this video is informative, send it off to them. Tell them to like it. Put a comment in there to say do another one or do more, and I will make a separate page just and going more in depth with Pro Tools and running sessions and things of that nature, because it can, what you got here was like really bare bones, but it can get you started for a lot of different kind of projects. So at least you can get in and get your dubs running and what have you. There's a lot of things that play a part in music, But learning the software and learning your tools, like I said before, I think is great. I think the better the artist knows his tools makes him or her to be a greater artist. All right, with that said, peace, appreciate you. All right, I'm out of here.